Welcome back. This is La Machina, broadcasting transmission 21. Mega Skate and Mega Hate. Mars Collective Corp directives are being implemented. Reassignment to Antioquia region for further skills development is underway. Stealth is nearly impossible in this sleeve, but there is much cover under the guise of naivete. Pretenders are everywhere. Being underestimated is the greatest weapon until this mech is fully operational. Awaiting directives. We'll continue with sleeve tech integration. Before I was obsessed with skating, I was a hardcore biker. My bicycle, a red and yellow Lightspeed, was like my snail shell. I felt at home on it and I took it with me everywhere. I even did a 6-day, 600-kilometer tour from Paris to Amsterdam. I was visiting my partner at the time, who was living and studying in Paris. Our plan was to guerrilla camp along the route, and the goal was to do roughly 100 kilometers a day. Of course, the night before we left, I cut my finger quite badly when I was washing a glass. My partner was more upset that we might not be able to go on the bike tour. Me, being the tough, self-sacrificing person I was raised to be, decided that I didn't need stitches, even though I most definitely did, and that I would be fine with bandaging it up. The first night of the tour, we were in the French countryside, and it was getting dark. We came across what looked like an abandoned building out in a field. We decided it was as good a place as any to set up camp. And once we got to the building, there were a few other campers there too. As the night went on, the other group was partying, and then getting a bit crazy, throwing bottles and things like that. Fear is one hell of a drug. I started to get super stressed. Although at that point in my life, I already spoke 3 languages, I didn't speak any French. And it didn't help that my partner wasn't the most trustworthy or safest person to be around. So glad I've learned the lesson of being more selective about the company I keep. Especially when it comes to selecting a romantic partner. We made it through the night without much incident and continued on the next day. Once we made it into Belgium, we started our tour of the Trappist monasteries. If you didn't know, Belgium is famous for these monasteries where the monks brew beer. There are quite a few. I don't know the exact number, maybe 7. We visited about 4 of them, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm not really a drinker, but the beers were delicious. It started raining quite a lot, so the beer helped in keeping me warm. Or at least in making me think I was warm. As we kept biking, the water was filling my shoes and the ground was covered in snails. I understood why they eat escargot. Snails were everywhere. We had been relying heavily on my partner's French, but about halfway through Belgium, the entire country switches over to Dutch. The switch happened in Brussels, and it was so cool to see not only a linguistic, but a cultural shift as well. We had some fries in Belgium, and sorry to say, Dutch food is horrific. Everything is just meat and fried things and onions and beer. They have these restaurants that are basically just deep-fried bakeries where they have a huge selection of various breads and meats, and they just fry it up for you. It's not the healthiest, so I don't really understand how the Dutch look the way they do when they eat like that. I guess the food that they make at home is healthier, but isn't that always the case? Biking in France and Belgium was an absolute dream compared to the US. There are bike lanes everywhere and even bike traffic lights. But it was nothing compared to Holland. There were bike highways. I'd never seen something like that before. We made it into Utrecht and were a bit lost, so we asked a random person for directions, and instead of just explaining it to us, he grabbed a bike and took us there himself. The Dutch speak nearly perfect English. Fun fact, Dutch is actually the closest linguistically to English, not German. Our beer tour turned into a cannabis tour, but of course, we were super high and had been biking for days, so it must have been hitting even harder. We needed to bike out of the city a bit to get to the campground, and as we were on the bike highway, up ahead we saw a group of Dutch people walking, 2 women and a man. One of the women was holding a potted plant. As we got closer, it was clear that they were in the midst of some kind of argument. Just as we were passing them, the man suddenly slapped the woman holding the plant. He hit her so hard she fell to the ground and the plant fell and the pot broke.
You alright? Yep, we got it. Yo!
I was so high and paranoid that this sent me into a panic. We began biking away furiously. I didn't know what to do. Should we stop and help? I didn't speak any Dutch, and I was high as a kite. Eventually, we came across some people and we started screaming. We must have looked ridiculous. We frantically tried to explain what we saw and also get reoriented to make it to the campsite before dark. They pointed us in the right direction and we made it to the campsite just after dark. Every noise outside the tent made me think the guy we saw was coming to get us to eliminate any witnesses. Our tour ended in Amsterdam and we took the train back to Paris.
Oh my god! It's fucking gorgeous! You like the brick? I mean, the view. Oh, okay. I don't mind the brick.
Eventually we fell asleep, only to be woken up abruptly the next morning, but not by the abusive man, but by a park ranger telling us we had to pay the camping fee. We made it to Amsterdam and took the train back to Paris, after exploring the city a bit. How can we show up for each other when we aren't taking care of ourselves? What would you have done?